Welcome to PRAJNA SPARKS Special Series 59 Days of Healing, where we explore one maxim from the Tibetan Lojong text, 7 points for healing dualistic mind, each day, to integrate the practice into our lives. Today is day 42. We are working with point 7, tips. Maxim 42 reads, "Either way, be magnanimous." I think I could do 59 days of magnanimity. This is an enormous topic. In many ways, one that anyone can incorporate into their life, no matter what their spiritual inclinations, to bring more well-being, healing, and transformation to their experience. What does either way mean? It boils down to things going well for us or things going badly for us. Actually, nothing ever goes well or badly, but dualistic mind, as usual, very good at labeling things as good or bad, when more often than not, the evidence isn't all in yet. No one experience is ever entirely good or entirely bad. There's much more dimension to everything we encounter than the binary pockets dualistic mind has at the ready to slap on all our experience. So either way here is addressing both the tendency to label things, and within that sphere of calling something good or bad, how do we respond? How do we work with things? Because even if we go with those labels, we still have to do something about it, be it good or bad. This maxim is telling us to behave with magnanimity. This is not a very common word, sadly. It's also not a common translation of the Tibetan Dzogpa, which more often than not is translated as patience. Patience is a wonderful virtue, and it also kind of makes our eyes roll because more often than not, somebody's telling us to be patient, and that's the last thing we want to be. The Tibetan means a lot more than patience. It's used in the context of requesting forgiveness in Vajrayana practices. It's also related to endurance in the sense of going the extra mile, forbearance in not crumbling under pressure, and so much more. Hence, magnanimity, which manages to hold space for all of the various things that Dzogpa refers to. Sometimes that is patience. Many of us who are in this sandwich generation, dealing with young children as well as elderly parents, will be very familiar with the need to be patient with folks who may or may not be able to be with it to the same extent that we are. That's one way of looking at this maxim. But as usual, these maxims are deceptively simple. This phrase is actually going for a very broad reach. It's basically saying, start with your mind. Do you want to continue in this habit of a roller coaster of good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad every single day for the rest of your life? Be magnanimous towards yourself. Give yourself the space to see how things work out before you characterize, box them, and then either celebrate only to have the rug pulled out from under you or collapse only to find out that you wasted your time when something lovely was around the corner. Being magnanimous at its most basic is giving us room to allow life, people, and ourselves to surprise us, to find wonder in every circumstance. This sounds like platitudes. Believe me, I would have thought this was a platitude if I had heard this before I engaged this practice. Give it a try. Then come back to me and tell me whether it works or not. What magnanimity does is it gives us the solid stability of the earth beneath our feet that allows us to weather the storms that dualistic mind throws at us.
I'm hearing something in what you're saying about not being so reactive. Sometimes we can very quickly evaluate a situation and have an emotional or even in our behavior response to that right away. I'm hearing in that patience aspect of it a caution against doing that. When you say allow things to surprise us, see how things work out, what I'm hearing is sometimes things will appear one way initially, but they will shift or change or grow over time. Is that part of what you're saying?
It's similar. That really describes an attitude of pause, which is very helpful. Magnanimity goes further. It's saying, don't categorize things, but also don't pretend that something doesn't feel crappy when that's how you're experiencing it. It's not asking you to put on a happy face or a non-responsive face. What it's saying is be magnanimous towards yourself. When things are difficult, open your heart. Find the ways that you can be in solidarity with others in a similar situation. When things are wonderful, find ways to tap into your wish to be of service, to be generous, to be giving. This is a quote of the Buddha that Tibetan scriptural tradition preserves. And it's asking us to lean into paradox. In the context of magnanimity, not really non-dual. It's hard to be non-dual with a dualistic mind. It's a way of breaking out of the dualistic habit. It's both saying there isn't a good and a bad, but you're going to see things that way. So how are you going to work with things that feel good and things that feel bad while you're waiting for the story to unfold? And what this maxim is saying is, no matter what's happening, there's a way to be magnanimous. There's a way to be patient, enduring, forbearing, forgiving, understanding, open-minded, resilient. Tap into your resources. Connect with whatever feels right for you, even if all of that magnanimity is directed entirely at ourselves. It makes all the difference.
I appreciate that idea that there isn't a good or a bad, but you're going to see things that way. Recognizing that our perceptions are not the full story, especially not our initial perceptions, but we have to recognize the fact that we will have those initial perceptions, make some choices about how we want to take those. And one of the things I'm hearing sounds to me something like curiosity, like when there's something that seems good or bad, to not just take it all at face value, even as we're responding to it, to allow that there might be more to it than what we're initially perceiving. Does that sound right?
It's not quite about we're just not seeing the whole picture. That's certainly part of it. It's more leaning into paradox. There isn't just one way to see it, and if we wait long enough, we'll get there. What time does is give us some hindsight to have additional perspective. This is asking us to lean into paradox moment by moment. As the Buddha puts it, things are not as they appear to be, nor are they otherwise. How does that relate to magnanimity? There's this bigness to it. One of the images that I get all the time with this term magnanimity is the ghost of Christmas Present from A Christmas Carol. Big guy with the furs and the cornucopia and the food. That quality of deep-hearted laughter, at the same time heartbroken at the tragedy of Tiny Tim.
I feel like I have encountered guidance around this, or just recognizing that this could be problematic, more as it relates to things I might perceive as negative than as positive. So when I'm reacting to something or someone as if it's negative, I do recognize that it's useful for me to know that there's more to that person or more to that situation than I might initially perceiving, and to try to give people the benefit of the doubt and to have a little bit more spaciousness around that. So with things that I perceive as positive, I don't know that that's always been in my mind that that's something I should do also. If something seems good or positive in my life, or a person seems really fantastic, I should still kind of hold that possibility that there's more to it than that. Can you talk a little bit about the benefits of doing that and any of your guidance for how to go about doing that?
This is such a wonderful exploration to go into, because the difficulty of things going great or encountering something that we're very excited about is that we fall into complacency. It doesn't even occur to us to consider the ways that even this is vulnerable to impermanence, decay, and change. That in and of itself is a kind of suffering, a subtle unsatisfactoriness. Even as we're experiencing something pleasant, the background noise of this is not going to last, I can't hold on to it. So then what happens? We all, as meditators, know the experience of how easy it is to practice when we have just the right amount of hurt. Not so much that we're hiding under the blankets in bed, but definitely not things going so well that we've got a full date book and all kinds of exciting things to do and no time to meditate. It's that kind of quality. Even the things that seem wonderful and scintillating can actually serve as an obstacle to our spiritual development, our practice, because they're a better distraction, frankly. And there, magnanimity is around generosity. Wonderful time to do the Tonglen practice when we are feeling the richness, the privilege, and the abundance in our life. We have a more immediate sense of being able to take on difficulty and open-handedly give all the goodness. We're a little bit closer to how things actually are.
This has been Yeshe and Tanya on day 42 of PRAJNA SPARKS Special Series, 59 Days of Healing. Tune in daily for more maxims from the Tibetan Lojong text, 7 Points for Healing Dualistic Mind. Check the episode notes for more resources, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at PRAJNA SPARKS, and email us, sparks@prajnafire.com, with any questions. May all beings benefit.